Right now, you might be staring at a gas station sign reading $3.96 a gallon, doing the mental math, filing it under annoying but manageable. That $3.96 national average is the leading edge of a crisis triggered on February 28, 2026. During Operation Epic Fury, the U.S. and Israel launched airstrikes across Iran. Iran retaliated, declaring the Strait of Hormuz closed. That 21-mile bottleneck usually carries 130 ships daily. It dropped to zero, halting 20% of the world's seaborne oil supply. The International Energy Agency recorded this as a larger energy supply disruption than the 1973 OPEC embargo and the 1979 Iranian Revolution shock combined. The pain at the pump is only the first of 5 separate economic shocks set off by that closure. They are moving towards your wallet right now on delayed, hidden timelines. Wave 2 arrives in 30 to 60 days, and it runs entirely on diesel. Diesel powers the 18-wheelers, the refrigerated trucks, and the heavy farm equipment that makes up the entire physical supply chain. When diesel prices spike 47% like they just did, freight carriers pass 60 to 80% of that cost straight through to retailers via weekly fuel surcharges. That strictly guarantees your beef and coffee prices are going to jump. Wave 3 hits in October, and it starts with natural gas. Fossil fuels account for 70 to 90% of the cost to produce ammonia and urea, the nitrogen fertilizers farmers rely on to grow practically everything. Roughly a third of the world's seaborne fertilizer trade passes through that closed strait. Because exports halted right in the middle of the crucial spring planting season, the resulting agricultural shortages are mechanically locked in for the fall harvest. You won't feel this wave in April. You'll feel it in October, standing in the produce aisle, completely forgetting about a Persian Gulf military operation, and incorrectly assuming you're just bad at budgeting. Wave 4 hits your summer vacation. Jet fuel surged over 60%, and since airlines bake fuel costs into their pricing models months in advance, you are looking at an immediate 15 to 30% airfare hike, even if oil drops tomorrow. Wave 5 hides in the interest rates. At the start of the year, markets had priced in multiple Federal Reserve rate cuts. That expectation is now dead. The Federal Reserve is trapped. High oil prices drive up inflation, while simultaneously dragging down consumer spending and employment. Facing those opposite pressures, Jerome Powell and the Fed are forced to freeze rates entirely. The real-world results trickle down fast. 30-year mortgages are stuck above 6%. Auto loans are hovering near 7%, and average credit card APRs remain frozen at a punishing 22%. The highest cost here is the sudden disappearance of extractive financial relief, leaving you with high interest rates on top of rising prices. To see how this actually plays out, let's look at 2 identical households making the exact same starting median income. One survives this macroeconomic shock, and one gets completely drained by it. Ryan and Jess treat the rising costs passively. They ignore the timeline, carry a $3,800 credit card balance at 22% interest, and check their bank accounts feeling a vague, persistent sense that their money is moving faster than it used to. Then comes the most destructive trap. When Ryan sees his retirement accounts drop due to sudden market volatility, he panics and sells. That single behavior turns temporary paper losses into permanent financial damage. This line graph comparing market returns since 1930 shows exactly why that fails. Simply missing the 10 best trading days in a decade destroys the vast majority of your long-term wealth, turning a massive 15,000% total return into a devastatingly low 91% return. Missing those specific trading days usually happens when investors panic sell during crashes. Your nervous system is hardwired to treat a financial loss with the exact same life or death urgency as immediate physical survival, making it nearly impossible to stay in when the market drops. Letting that instinct win is what turns a temporary dip into a wiped-out portfolio. Meanwhile, our second household, Maya, takes immediate action. She moves her cash into a high-yield savings account locked at over 4%, earning real yield to combat rising prices. She treats her debt as an absolute emergency. Paying off a credit card charging 22% is mathematically identical to earning a guaranteed tax-free 22% return on your money. She automates her investments and completely walks away. She books her summer travel before airline pricing models fully update, and she audits ISIN's freight contracts before diesel surcharges hit her invoices. Either this crisis resolves quickly and the economic damage is contained, much like the rapid recovery following the 1990 Gulf War, or it drags into a multi-year food and interest rate crisis. Regardless of which timeline we get, surviving an economic shock doesn't require exclusive knowledge. It simply requires paying attention to the timeline and taking boring, decisive action months before the rest of the world realizes what hit them.